Thanks.
Ms. Chairwoman, I yield my time.
Who's up next? Britt, Senator Britt.
Thank you very much, Madam Vice Chair. Chair Powell, thank you for being here with us today. I want to start just by echoing the comments of Senator Cortez Masto when it comes to community banks. Obviously believe that community banks and credit unions, financial institutions that serve everyday Americans and main streets across the great state of Alabama and our country are so critically important to people being able to actually achieve the American dream. And want to make sure, I know we've talked about this the last few times that you've been in front of us. We've talked about the rewrite of Basel III. We've talked about long-term debt. We've talked about Reg II. We talked about a ton of things and talked about my concern that no one was looking at the cumulative impact of those things and the trickle-down effect. I just want to get a commitment from you that as you are reviewing rulemaking across the board, that you will consider and make sure to make the perspective of the smallest U.S. banks and non-financial industries like the ag sector who did not maybe have a seat at the table in previous administrations, but give them a seat at the table and make sure that you're thinking about the impact on those individuals and the people they serve.
I'm happy to make that commitment.
Thank you so much, Chair Powell. I also want to talk to you about an issue that has been brought up briefly today by another colleague of mine, but that is about childcare. So when we look at the childcare crisis in this country, we know that our economy loses about $122 billion a year because of affordability and accessibility, reliability, if you will, of childcare. It is said that anyone who has a child between the ages 0 and 5 actually spends 22% of their income on childcare. We have done the studies and looked at the numbers, and 59% of stay-at-home and or part-time working parents say that they would like to re-enter the workforce, but that affordability or accessibility is an impediment to do that. As we are looking to build back America, as we are looking to create opportunity and bring those things into fruition, would you agree that taking a look and being able to address, not asking you to comment on any specific proposal, but addressing some of the shortfalls related to accessibility and affordability of childcare would have a positive long-term impact on the economy?
So I think there's quite a bit of research showing exactly that, and we really saw it during the pandemic. As I think you know and pointed out, it's not an issue that we play a role on, but clearly it would contribute. Childcare would contribute to participation in the labor force by many.
Absolutely, and as Alabama looks, we look at our labor participation rate. It is 5 points lower than the national average. We continue to look to ways to get people re-engaged in the workforce and know that addressing this head on will help us be able to achieve that. So thank you so much, Chair Powell. I look forward to continuing to work to get that done. So there has been some angst vocalized about the reconciliation bill and the president's trade policies. And from my perspective, much of that skepticism is both unfair and premature. Market resiliency and recent economic data actually continues to reflect confidence in the U.S. economy. Look at the recent Treasury auction, which was notably successful and saw stronger than expected demands for 30-year bonds and stable, even slightly declining yields. To me, this demonstrates that investors still view the U.S. debt as an attractive asset, regardless of the ongoing policy discussions and debates and forging a pathway forward. And those fundamentals of the economy, actually remain quite strong. Chair Powell, would you agree that the components of our economy actually remain quite strong? And how does the Fed consider this type of strong auction performance in the context of your market expectations and monetary policy discussions?
So, as you point out, the Treasury market is working fine just now. Liquidity is adequate, and bond prices are responding to economic events, and so bond market's in good shape. In terms of the strength of the economy, I would strongly agree. The labor market's in a solid place. The economy's growing. Inflation is in a pretty good place, come much closer to 2%. So it's a very solid economy. We are watching the labor market very closely, as we always do. And a couple of things in particular. One is just a very low hiring rate, which goes with a low layoff rate. But if we were to start to see layoffs, we would see unemployment go up quickly, and so we're watching that carefully. But the labor market has remained solid, and I would agree with your overall characterization.
Thank you. Appreciate you being here today.